So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now, listen, you want to hear something that kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up? Listen to this title, bro. This unsettling discovery scares scientists. Exactly. So we're gonna check this video out and I don't know, brace ourselves, I guess, and see what's going on. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, join the family, and let's check this out.
We look to scientists for knowledge. They're the ones who bring us new information about the world and sometimes even outside of the world. They're like living and breathing encyclopedias. So it's safe to say that we also tend to look for their reactions toward things. We even base all world views sometimes on their discoveries.
The yellow unicellular being looks like a fungus, but acts like an animal.
When they're amazed about something, we tend to be amazed. That's why it can be pretty jarring when scientists begin to fear their discoveries. But it happens. Sometimes they turn up more than what they bargained for. And that's what this next list is all about, because we're bringing you 15 unsettling discoveries that scare scientists. Number 15. Zombie spiders. If spiders weren't already spooky enough, now just imagine an undead spider. We never thought that we would have to be speaking about such a thing, but in one part of the world, there are actual zombie spiders. And what's even spookier is that scientists are using these undead spiders as claw machines. This comes from Rice University, where some researchers have created necrobiotics. To better explain such an absurd term, it's a new area of research that uses biotic materials for robot parts. It's almost like a reverse Frankenstein. Because what's really happening here is spider corpses are being turned into robots. What the researchers at Rice University have done specifically.
What did that just remind y'all of? The little game at like the bowling alley / arcades that you go to, and you're in there trying to get the little thing in the machine and the little mechanical arm goes down and pick it up. Did anybody else just have a flashback to a moment like that? And now I'm not gonna be able to shake that.
Specifically is take dead wolf spiders and then use them as machines to pick up and put down objects. Now, they're not just doing this for fun. This research aims to use it down the line to create biodegradable grippers for very small objects. They made this discovery back when this type of research was possible in 2019. Scientists had noticed that a dead spider curled up in their lab. It piqued their interest as to why spiders would die with their legs in that position. Then they found that spiders are more like cars than anything else. That's because they have a hydraulic pressure system that controls their limbs. They lack biceps and triceps like humans have. In their place, they have something called flexor muscles that allow their legs to fold in. When they extend them, it's used by hydraulic pressure. When they died, their ability no longer existed, which makes them curl up. It seems like the research is far from over, and who knows what these spiders will look like when it's all said and done. Now,
totally just blew my mind. I had no idea they were using spiders to try to figure out how to make a mechanical arm to pick up small. Yo, that's thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Let's get ready for today's open discussion. What you're looking at right here is the last known image of a box that contained the world's biggest spiders. Scientists traveled to Egypt on a hunch and found this massive box that was locked behind antique locks they've never seen before. Needless to say, the scientists were pretty spooked when they came across it, because up until then, it was just legend. The photographer was instructed to take his photos as far away as possible, because who knew what effects flash photography would have on such an old box? All footage of the spider was destroyed. What do you think the origin of such a thing was? And did it have something to do with the government? Or were there other people at play here? Leave your thoughts in the discussion below with the hashtag open discussion to let your voice be heard. You want to know a little secret? If you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you'll have superpowers for the rest of your life. So what are you waiting for? Time to fly. Number 14, Vampire Kit. This next one is super scary and scared scientists rightfully so because of its implications. For example, if you walked into the work break room and saw that there was a piping hot bowl of soup on the table, your first inclination would be that there was a person there. If the soup exists, then so does the person. So now apply that logic to vampire kit. If there was vampire kits to fend off vampires, then there must have been vampires alive. Sounds crazy, but it's true. A vampire hunting kit from the 19th century just sold for $20,000 in the UK. It's sold to an eager collector who we hope hasn't come into contact with vampires anytime recently.
That collector obviously knows something that we don't know. You know what I mean? He probably trying to tell us, he like, listen, they ain't making these movies for no reason. There's a reason they making these movies.
According to the auction house that helped proliferate the sale, the kit had belonged to Lord Hailey back in the 19th century. He was a one-time administrator of British India. And this man just wasn't alone. He had a high position in society. He was one of the highest aristocratic members of the social order. He had a place in the House of Lords. So if this man was worried about vampires, should we be? Number 13.
Yes.
Black eggs. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We've got a better question. Why is that goose laying eggs with black yolks? It sounds pretty sinister and something out of a terrible fable. But it's true. There's a goose in China laying eggs with strange black yolks inside of them. We apologize if you're eating breakfast while you're watching this, but you were bound to see it anyway because this goose has exploded on social media. And according to the man who owns the goose, there's nothing wrong with the goose that makes it any more extraordinary. So at the moment, the black yolks are a mystery. The discovery happened when the man who reported these black yolks received eggs from a friend's farm. At first glance, he didn't think anything was strange about them. They looked like regular eggs to him. But of course, upon closer inspection, he realized the yolks were not yellow or orange, but they were deep black. Some theories as to why this goose is laying black eggs include the possibility that maybe the goose is getting a lot of black mulberries, or the goose might be high in melanin content. But at the end of the day, no one quite knows why this goose is laying the eggs that he is. We probably won't try one. We'll stick to Denny's. Number 12. River Thames Mystery Light. Scientists are pretty baffled along with the residents of this one town as there's a flashing light emanating from below the River Thames. Some people are even considering it the work of aliens. Others say that it might just be a traffic beacon along with the possibility of a dumped bike with its lights still on. No one quite knows what the light is, but it's got people scratching their heads, that's for sure. This all started in a Facebook group for locals of the Canary Wharf in East London. As you can see from the video, it's a little white speck in the middle of the water, and it just continues to flash. It does look like you would have a logical explanation for it, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to talk about aliens and other out-of-the-world possibilities. So what could it be? As of right now, no one knows. Number 11. Red sky. We've all been a witness to the sky when it looks extraordinarily beautiful. Sometimes there are just some pink and orange colors that look like it's straight out of a painting. When it's not like that, you can pretty much get a good sense of what time of day it is just by looking at the sky. It's going to either be filled with stars or with a clear blue sky. This is why you can't blame a few people out of China for being worried when they saw their sky go completely red. This comes out of Zhoushan, China, where residents observed a mysterious blood-red sky and then experienced a boatload of panic. Some people even believed they were witnessing the end of the world. Whether they were...
Yeah, I'd have been in that group. Walk outside, red sky. Yeah. I'm thinking it's over, fam. A volcano, or in my mind, after watching them volcano videos, I'm like, oh, Yellowstone done went off. It's over.
Looking through windows in their home, or they were on their balcony. There was no avoiding the blood-red color above them. And of course, people were quick to record it and put it online. Once it hit the internet, it racked up over 150 million views. There were plenty of speculation as to why this happened, with some believing that it was a bad omen, representing the Chinese government. Television and media agencies all claimed the blood-red sky was caused by natural light refraction rather than a man-made effect. To get deeper into the scientific explanation, what they mean by that is when good weather patterns arrive, there's more water in the atmosphere, which forms aerosols that reflect sunlight and then disperse light back into the public view. Believe us, we don't understand it either. Whether it's science or a bad omen, it was pretty startling to see.
They look like they used to it. Look like business as usual. Like nobody's noticing a big blood red sky right now. Like, no, I would expect full-blown panic to be going on.
Number 10, triple horns. Now we move on to somewhat of a deformed animal. Upon first glance, it looks like the animal belongs to the devil himself. The animal that we're talking about is a three-horned ankle cow in Uganda. There was a lot of debate on whether or not this cow was real, because seeing a cow with three horns is super rare. The video that was shared seemed to be authentic, even though it was kind of grainy and did not offer much to work with. The horns also look like they're painted on somehow, but at the same time, nothing is pointing to the fact that it might be a fake. Further proof of its existence comes from the Ankole Cattle Breeder Society, which tracks this cow down to see if it's real or not. And to everyone's surprise, it was real. Even more surprisingly, this isn't the first time that a three-horned animal has been found like this. There was one in 2018 where a video showed a cow in Brazil with three horns. And then there was another one in 2016 coming out of India with a three-horned cow. I guess this is a case of not judging a book by its cover and understanding that there's more than one weird animal in the world. Maybe three horns aren't that weird after all. Number 9.
It's gotta be heavy though, especially on his weight on his neck.
9. Floating meteorite. It seems like something right out of a Superman comic. As you can see in this video, people are spooked by this display case holding a meteorite when it suddenly begins rising out of nowhere. The meteorite crashed on Earth in 2013 and even injured 1,500 people in the process. Since then, it was put in the museum, where people marveled at it for years. No one thinks much of it in terms of it moving randomly, but this is exactly what happened on one fateful day. If you look closely, you can see the display case just rise out of nowhere. People believe that it was the museum workers or engineers doing this, but they said they had no hand in the mysterious movement. A lot of the staff have claimed that the meteorite was trying to escape, but most of those concerns were jokes and lighthearted conversation. To this day, no one quite knows why the display case lifted the way it did. It does resemble something out of a science fiction movie. Could it be that this is an alien meteorite trying to get back home? Is it a device from an alien that was suddenly activated and called back? There are so many questions and not enough answers. We just hope that it doesn't get angry and hurt the people around it one day. We also hope that it doesn't take over the world. We don't think that's too much to ask. Number 8. Green crop circle. There are many discoveries out there that leave people scratching their heads. When it comes to the mysteries of
This will forever be one of them. Most definitely.
the world, there's always a high level of debate. But one thing's for sure that everyone can agree on. Crop circles are creepy. No one quite knows what causes them aside from the ones that have been debunked as hoaxes. But for the most part, crop circles remain unexplained in many parts of the world. And now we move on to one that suddenly turned green. This green crop circle comes out of a field in Titchborne, Hampshire. When you first look at it, it looks like a green patch of grass, but upon closer inspection, you can see that it's a giant crop circle. There's a clear contrast between the green and autumn brown that makes the crop circle pop out more. There's a name for this weird phenomenon too. It's considered a crop circle ghost. This is when the grass within the circle continues to flourish and grow at an accelerated rate. But weirdly enough, there aren't any crops in these fields. So without there being much life going on around here, it begs the question as to why the crop circle is there, who put it there, and by what means. Unfortunately, this is just going to be one of those mysteries that goes unsolved for now. Number 7.
It can only be two reasons, because those things are like perfectly designed in that grass, bro. Like perfect. It can either only be extraterrestrial or somebody's out there doing it. Because like I said, it's too perfect. You know what I mean?
Monkeys domesticate dogs. It seems like we're not the only ones that can domesticate dogs. It must not be too difficult because monkeys can do it. There's a little bit more of a sinister spin to this next one though. It starts with a video that was shot by a French television crew at a garbage dump in Saudi Arabia. It went viral because it showed that dogs and baboons can coexist. The catch here is that the dogs don't necessarily want to coexist with the baboons. The baboons kidnap the puppies and then keep them as pets. The only bright side here is that the dogs don't know any other life, as they were said to grow up with the baboons and protect the troop. And now there's a new video going around from a Cornell student who captured a similar scene. It's raising questions.
I mean, at least he feeding them grapes though. ain't like he got the worst life in the world. You know what I mean? I wish I had somebody sitting there feeding me grapes all day. I'm a little jealous of the pup.
It's about whether the monkeys keep the dogs and make them part of their own, or if it's just a kidnapping attempt. Take a look for yourself. It's not easy to decipher how monkeys behave with one another and what that behavior means, but it sure does look like they're using these dogs as their little friends. Whether the dogs enjoy it or not, we're not sure. Number 6, pink snow. Some might look at pink snow and think of it as a beautiful thing. It might even resemble something out of a fairy tale, or maybe a Disney movie. When you hear about the term, it's hard to believe that such a thing exists, but pink snow does, and you can find the phenomenon in the Alps. But this isn't a marker of fairy tales or something magical. Researchers believe that it's a marker of climate change instead. More specifically, this pink snow is caused by microalgae that's been loaded with pigments to protect them from strong light. This makes the snowy surface appear red. In layman's terms, the snow is trying to protect itself from melting. Just imagine Frosty the Snowman turning himself red to reflect heat. That's what's happening here in the Alps. Who knew this snow was so smart? But there's still research going on as to whether or not this phenomenon is tied to climate change and global warming. As soon as there's the reason behind why this is happening, there's also a terrible name for the phenomenon. They're called glacier blood. Right now, there's a group of French researchers who are working on the Alpaca project to study microalgae. All of this happens around 1,000 to 3,000 meters above sea level. That's a whole lot of ground to cover. As cool as it may be to see this glacier blood, it sounds pretty grim when you get to the nitty-gritty of it. Number 5, Dogu statues. We now move on to something called a Dogu statue. These are ancient figurines with large goggle eyes that only offer scholars little explanation for their existence. They come from the Jomon period in Japanese history. The Jomon people were known best for their early pottery skills. They might have even been one of the first groups of people to create pottery in history. But one of the most popular pieces of pottery that came out of this civilization is the Dogu figurines. These are often human or animal-like in appearance, and they can date back to 14,000 BCE. Those are some pretty old pieces of pottery. These pieces were usually found in grave circles or stone circles. This meant that it indicated some sort of spiritual inclination from the culture. When you would find these figurines among the dead, it was significant that there was some sort of meaning for them in the afterlife. So they're not just meaningless figurines, they do have quite a backstory. As grim as that backstory may be. Number 4, Spates.
See, that look like something you pick up at one of those garage sales, man. That's why I continuously say, be careful what you buy at those places. You have no idea what the significance or the meaning is behind those statues and some of the things you'll be buying. I'm cool. I don't need to go.
Space crash debris. Nothing like little space debris to get your senses going. Not too long ago, there was a bit of space debris found in a snowy mountain located in southern New South Wales. At the time, no one quite knew what space debris belonged to. They knew that it had to be from Earth, but no one knew the origin exactly. But now the Australian Space Agency has confirmed that the debris found belongs to a craft that was built by Elon Musk's SpaceX company. Because of this revelation, some technical experts from the agency visited the remote location to make sure that there were no other parts anywhere else. The belief is that the debris came from an unpressurized trunk of the SpaceX capsule. That part was critical to take off, but had been dumped when returning to Earth. A lot of Elon Musk's critics say that he litters the Earth with his projects, and this kind of seems like it falls in line with that criticism. Luckily, no one was hurt by the falling debris. Except for that snowy mountain, of course. We wonder if the snow on that glacier was red like the snow that we mentioned before. If not, it was covered with some space remnants, at least thanks to Elon.
Isn't one of those billionaires like scavenging the waters to recover some of the stuff from those crafts, them spacecrafts, when they blow up and different things and they fall into the water and stuff like that? I could have swore it was Bezos. I could have swore we saw a video where he was actually coming back to gather that debris and different things like that. Also for research purposes, finding different things on the ocean floor as well. I could have sworn that might be somebody else though.
Number 3, glowing squirrels. It's always cute when you spot a squirrel nibbling on a nut. They're one of nature's most fascinating creatures. And guess what? They're about to get a little bit more fascinating because we bring you to some glowing squirrels. That's right, these flying squirrels glow fluorescent pink when under ultraviolet light. This bright bubblegum pink coloring can help the new world flying squirrels navigate, communicate, or even blend into their environment. Talk about camouflage. Scientists were pretty stunned to see when they came across the fact that pointing an ultraviolet flashlight towards a flying squirrel causes it to go pink in the right conditions. The scientists had to determine whether or not this phenomenon was merely a one-time occurrence or if that's really how they are all the time. So they analyzed 135 squirrel skins, and they determined that they turn pink when flashed with ultraviolet light. So the next time you shine your ultraviolet flashlight on a squirrel, don't be alarmed by all the colors. Number 2, Mystery Blob. For this next one, we go to the Paris Zoo, where they're not unveiling a new monkey or animal, but they're unveiling the Blob. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it's an organism with no brain. They also have multiple sexes, but how is that possible? It's a yellowish, unicellular, small living being that kind of looks like fungus, but it's not fungus. It acts like an animal. And get this, it's got no mouth, no stomach, no eyes, and yet it can somehow know when there's food around, but not only that, it can also digest it. Now if that didn't get spooky enough for you, it can also move without legs or wings. And if you cut it in half, guess what it can do? It can heal itself. That's kind of...
I figured repair itself. Again, something for them to look at to figure out on how to do different things and clone parts of us.
Kind of where we draw the line in creepy. The director of the Paris Museum of Natural History said that the Blob is a living being that belongs to one of nature's mysteries. But we tend to think that there's no mystery about this Blob. It's just downright frightening. Number 1.
Yeah, it's moving like water too, just too freely.
Seeds in space. And lastly, here at number 1, we're going to talk about something that grew in space, and it grew from seeds of all things. It left scientists baffled because there was an amazingly fast growth of a tree. It grew from a cherry stone that had been sent into space. The stone had been harvested from an ancient 1250-year-old cherry tree from Japan. There was one Japanese astronaut who took the stone up to the International Space Station back in 2008, and it orbited the Earth 4,100 times. This caused the tree to grow at a faster rate, or at least that's what scientists think. It grew to a whopping 12 feet tall. This is incredible because it usually takes that type of cherry tree around 10 years to blossom. But when it went up into space, it only took around 4 years. Makes you wonder, if you were up in space for that amount of years, would you age faster? Luckily, it was only a tree that found out the answer to that. But the most important question here is, are the cherries still good? Discoveries can be interesting, but they can also be scary, as this list has proven. It's also proven that even scientists can get scared of their discoveries, and the world is never short of providing more and more of them daily. Whether it's a tree growing super fast in space, or a 3-horned cow, we can't wait to see what else gets discovered tomorrow.
That was a heck of a good point he just made. With all this space stuff we've been talking about and doing, would you age faster in space? That's a heck of a good question. Oh, we gotta figure that out, man. This video had some of everything though. That, what we just spoke about, glowing squirrels, trees growing from space, and blood skies. I think that was the craziest by far to me, was the blood sky. I'm glad I saw that here first and not walking out my front door and seeing it for the very first time. This kind of makes me a little bit more okay if it happens and I see it. But if I had not have seen this video and it happened, oh yeah, sheer panic. Oh, it's over. That's what I thought. Oh, it's over. You know what I mean? But y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what you thought of this video. The unsettling discovery scares scientists. It's your boy L, man. Until next reaction, I'm gone. Peace.